Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is the Prophets of Awakening. It's our evening Sabbath class, the 4th of February, 2023. Okay. We'll be dealing with the reading Joshua chapter 89 and breaking it down later on in the class. I'm asking everybody to go to our YouTube channel, the Prophets of Awakening, and check out our videos. It's a lot of information that is given, and the videos will connect dots for you and lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. Okay. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel, and by that I mean we deal with the Tanakh, which is the Old Testament, and the Torah, the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses on the mountain. Shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening. Welcome to our evening Shabbat class. We're going to do our normal routine, which is a moment of silence, Sabbath prayer, Psalms, do some current events, little need to know information, and then we open it up for some dialogue, some Q&A. Then we'll go into the class. We'll read something out of Joshua chapter 89 and break it down. Okay. This moment of silence is for our Redeemer and our Savior, the Lord of hosts, and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance from our captive. Okay. Shalom, shalom. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and your great power and wisdom. And we tarry waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people Israel. Oh Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of your forefathers. And you, oh Lord, have directed us to who you are and your role in the goings on of heaven and earth. And we come thanking you for another Sabbath day. Doubtless that you will appear, and that you will gather your nation from among these wicked Gentiles. We tarry not, O Lord, that the latter days are here, and we are waiting and watching for you, O Lord, waiting on your appearance. Peace be unto you. Okay. We'll read the Psalms right quick. Cool. I'm going to read Psalm 26. It's examine me, O Lord, and prove me. It's a Psalm of David. Judge me, O Lord, for I have walked in mine integrity. I have trusted also in the Lord, therefore I shall not slide. Examine me, O Lord, and prove me. Try my reins in my heart. For thy loving kindness is before mine eyes, and I have walked in thy truth. I have not sat with vain persons, neither will I go in with disassemblers. I have hated the congregation of the evildoers, and will not sit with the wicked. I will wash my hands in innocency, so will I compass thine altar, O Lord, that I may publish with the voice of thanksgiving and tell of all thy wondrous works. Lord, I have loved the habitation of thine house, and the place where thine honor dwelleth. Gather not my soul with sinners, nor my life with bloody men, in whose hands is mischief, and their right hand is full of bribes. But as for me, I will walk in my integrity. Redeem me and be merciful unto me. My foot standeth in an even place. In the congregation will I bless the Lord. So that was Psalm 26. Any comments on that? Anything ring a bell for anybody? Okay. So we're going to go to some current events. Nobody have any comments? Okay. Let me see. Yeah.
American singer Akon believes that Africa could be the strongest nation in the world if African Americans moved back there and he's on a mission to make it happen. The Hold My Hand hitmaker made his plans clear during an interview with Revolt's Deposits podcast that recently went viral. Akon noted in the clip that the continent has all the resources it needs. All it needs is the people. Hello, and welcome. This is Rain Smith, and you're watching the New Africa channel. My goal is to get everybody to move back to Africa. That's my goal, he said. I want to get as many African Americans back home to Africa as I possibly can, because I know the day they move back, everything they're fighting for in America, they will not have to fight for over there. All the struggle that they struggled in America, they gone come there with this mindset, with this mentality, with the finances that they built, the equity in life, and bring it back and invest that in Africa. He continued, man, Africa could be the strongest nation in the world if y'all went back home, because we got everything that it takes to be that. We got the resources, we got the land, we got the population, and together we got the strength, and we got the know-how. Like, why we ain't doing that?
Like, my goal is to get everybody to move back to Africa. That's my goal.
Okay.
I want to get as many African Americans back home to Africa as I possibly can. Because I know the day they move back, everything they fighting for in America, they will not have to fight for. All the struggle that they struggling over there, they're going to come there with this mindset, with this mentality, with the finances that they built, the equity in life, and bring it back and invest that in Africa. Man, Africa could be the strongest nation in the world if y'all went back home. So we got everything that it takes to be that. We got the resources, we got the land, we got the population, and together we got the strength and we got the know-how. Like, why we ain't doing that? We control entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if all the black entertainers decided to go back to Africa and just entertain in Africa, start our own businesses, labels, distribution companies, marketing companies, all that in Africa. We control sports.
Yeah.
Imagine if all the black players went back to Africa to play sports in Africa. Not only would we be the star player, but we would own the team. Imagine if we all went and created our own official team. Just imagine. Do you think these sponsors will be putting all this money into NBA and NFL and all that? If niggas wasn't playing in it?
No.
But guess where the viewers will be watching though? They'll be watching the channel in Africa, watching them niggas. Just imagine if LeBron started his own team in Africa, picked his own players. He would own not only the team, but can you imagine with his eye and his vision on what a player looks like? And there's players in Africa that's taller than Usain Bolt. Manute Bol. Manute was 7'2". I saw guys at 7'9", like walking around. And we talk about speed, stamina, man. But they know this. They know how to utilize us because they just dang with the carry. They know we ain't gonna ever come together. They know this already. So they always play us against each other. There's always this divide and conquer that our mentality is what we need to fix first. Once we fix that, we'll be fine. So the question is, would you think we can ever do it? Our generation is too late.
Twitter was awash with responses to Akon's contentious stance, with producer Van Lafan among many who deemed the singer's remarks offensive. It always comes back to shitting on Black Americans, especially after they've made millions imitating Black Americans, he wrote. American radio personality Ebro Darden added, this is framed in a way to trigger me. Let me chill. At Akon, you're my guy, and you can't mean African Americans in general. Ain't no way. Other reactions included Black skincare influencer Latif Saka, who wrote, Akon cosplayed as a Black American for the majority of his career, so him saying this is wild. Let the Black Americans cook him without xenophobia, please.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Well, I think that this conversation we know that it has occurred throughout our history since we've been here about us going back. But I think that there are a lot of forces that are coming together to create that more of a reality than it ever has been.
Okay.
So it's just interesting to see how things from all these different walks of life and these different people and the circumstances that is going to eventually come together to actually make it happen. So I just feel like I'm just watching these things unfold.
Okay. Anybody else? yeah, you can see how, like I was saying before, look at Fred Hampton and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. All these men got killed for the very thing that he's saying. He's saying so freely. So back then they didn't want that merger, so they was killing anybody that came up with it or try to inspire blacks. But now that's what they want. So that's why Akon and then you notice all these other people they're able to freely talk about it because that's what they want. Oprah Winfrey, some 20 some years ago, left and went to Africa. The guy Robert Johnson sold his sold BET. All these boule. They've been working on this. So he sold BET and left and went to Africa. So they've been setting this up, and then all of a sudden here's this Ghana thing pop up. So they are like sheep herders. That's where they want us at. Okay, they got plans. They know this place. They pretty much flew with this place. Right.
But isn't that part of God's plan though for us? I mean, they may have their agenda, but their agenda doesn't supersede God's.
Yeah, right. So what you're looking at is they know they got our records. They have our records. They have all our records from exactly where the prophets wrote down. They gave us a ran down version of what they wanted us to have from when they concocted King James and all that. But they so confident and they've been manipulating and the world and manipulating us so long that they actually think that they can take us over there and still survive what the Most High already got prophesied. And that's what he meant by when he said that in the very end, he's gonna make them look stupid.
Well,
Because
I definitely see that. I see how they are scrambling, like we were saying the other day about, they think that they are going to be able to outsmart God
yeah,
and
right,
still be able to partake in our blessings. Like I said, I this whole agenda all of a sudden out of the blue, what seems like out of the blue, but it's been in the making for a long time, with them intermingling with us. They think they're going to be able to survive by
right,
having children with us. But like I was saying the other day, hearing that scripture about they're going to destroy the whole, there will be no remnants of them left behind. That,
right,
to me, that is going to unfortunately will include those children that become from these unions. I
right.
hate to say that, but that's, I can just see them being sneaky like that. They
Oh
think
yeah,
they can outsmart God, so they think if they have a child with us and these children survive, and they'll be able to somehow partake in whatever it is that we're going to get.
right, right. Like I was saying, we the people of the book, right? And Africa, which is Northeast Africa, is where the land of Canaan at. Northeast Africa, and so you think you're gonna take the Israelites, their God is over there in that region, and they from that region. You think you're gonna take them over there, and then you still gonna survive after you do that? That's like taking catching a fish and then lay him on the bank, and you're gonna run into the truck and get some water. You think that fish gonna be there when you come back? You're gonna
Right.
fly and flip. You're gonna get back in that water. So you can't take no Israelite anywhere near the land of Canaan and think you're gonna get everything gonna be good.
It's going to benefit them.
Yeah,
That's big. That's their greed blinding them.
yeah. And like I said, they done did it so long.
Right.
They done did it so long with all these lies that they think they can get away with. They pretty much they made the Most High and his angels and all that to none effect.
So they
But
think.
that, yeah. That's why they come in. That's why they became imp, because like I said, they did it so long to they actually believe that they did not outwitted and outsmarted the creator. Yeah, ain't that something?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
joy to say this, but another war may be in the making. America versus China, and it could happen in the next 2 years. The assessment comes from the US Army. We have the details, and we're also tracking their moves. Sample this. The US is expanding its military access in the Philippines. The NATO chief is touring Asia as we speak. The UK is pushing for India and Japan to join the AUKUS military alliance. These may seem like unrelated developments, but when you connect the dots, the bigger picture emerges. The US and its allies are preparing to go to war with China. A top American general has issued the orders. He's asked his commanders to get ready for combat. This is General Mike Minion. He oversees the US Air Force fleet of transport and refueling aircraft. Recently, he wrote a memo. It begins on a grim note, and let me quote from what he said. I hope I'm wrong. My gut tells me we will fight in 2025. He's talking about fighting China here. Why does he think that there will be a war? He offers some compelling reasons in this memo, and I'm quoting again. Xi secured his third term and set his war council in October 2022. Taiwan's presidential elections are in 2024 and will offer Xi a reason. US presidential elections are in 2024 and will offer Xi a distracted America. Xi's team, reason, and opportunity are all aligned for 2025. In other words, the US and Taiwan will go to polls next year, and this American general thinks that this distraction will be used by China as a leverage. Interestingly, the US Defense Department has rebutted this memo. An official statement says, and I'm quoting again, these comments are not representative of the department's view on China. So the Pentagon either does not fear a war or does not want to say it. As for their president, he can't seem to make up his mind. Last year, he said the US will respond to an invasion of Taiwan militarily, that he'll send American troops to fight China.
You didn't want to get involved in the Ukraine conflict militarily for obvious reasons. Are you willing to get involved militarily to defend Taiwan if it comes to that?
Yes.
You are.
That's the commitment we made.
That's the commitment we made, he says. Biden is referring to the Taiwan Relations Act. It says if Taiwan is attacked, the US will come to the island's defense. His government was quick to clarify that America's policy on Taiwan has not changed. They call it strategic ambiguity. Now, we're not sure about strategic anymore, but there is ambiguity for sure. Meanwhile, the US military is preparing for all scenarios. Last week, the US Marine Corps opened a new military base. It's on the Pacific island of Guam. It's called Camp Blas. The base will host as many as 5,000 US Marines. The US is also talking to the Philippines. They're expected to announce a new deal soon. American troops will get greater access to military bases in the Philippines. And this is going to be very significant. These bases in the Philippines are strategically important. US troops can use them to mount operations in two flashpoints, the Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea. China, of course, is watching these developments. It has issued a warning to Washington, D.C.
We urge the United States to abide by the One China principle and the provisions of the three China-US joint communiques, earnestly follow through the US leaders' commitment not to support Taiwan independence, stop meddling in the Taiwan issue, stop US-Taiwan military ties, and stop creating new factors of tension in the Taiwan Strait.
Meanwhile, the US is rallying allies. The NATO is making moves in the Indo-Pacific. The NATO, as you would know, is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It is a military alliance, and the US is its de facto leader. NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg is visiting Asia. This trip has reignited the discussion on an Asian NATO. Stoltenberg is visiting South Korea and Japan. What for? To make new friends.
We live in a more dangerous, a more unpredictable world, and then we need strong partnerships between countries and alliances that believe in democracy and freedom.
This visit has not gone down well with China and North Korea. They're issuing threats and asking the West to back off. The NATO is reaching out to India too. Reports say the two sides, India and NATO, will hold strategic talks. This dialogue will be held in the month of March. Senior officials from both sides will participate. The agenda is yet to be revealed. We are told it will most likely focus on regional security. And this will not be their first such meeting. India and the NATO held their first political dialogue in the year 2019. We're not sure what form and shape this will take, but we can say that the West is trying hard to pull India into some sort of a military alliance. The UK wants it.
Okay. Any comments on that?
I definitely think something's happening or going to happen, especially considering what happened this week with those spy balloons. I mean, they shot down one today, but the one I forgot where it said it's over. There's a second one floating around. I mean, I think they're minimizing it to the people about what that is, but I definitely think it's some sort of show of force.
Yeah, the other one was in Latin America.
Yeah, Latin America.
Right. We're getting ready to play that video. Let me play that. Yeah, for the longest they said they weren't going to shoot it down. Then today, about 3 or 4 hours ago, they shot it down.
Here on Sky News, the Chinese spy balloon, which has been spotted over the United States over the past couple of days, has in the past few minutes been brought down. Supposition is it has been shot down after an order from President Biden himself. You'll recall just after a couple of hours ago that President Biden has said he would take care of this suspected spy balloon, which is reported to have been conducting surveillance on the US military, and it seems that certainly has happened. We know that airspace was closed around 100 square miles off the Carolinas. A number of flights stopped following an order in the past hour or so, and that will prove where the balloon had been heading. It was over North Carolina, Charlotte, a couple of hours ago, and it has drifted. So it seems to have been brought down over water. That is the supposition. Mark Stone is our US correspondent who's monitoring events live from the Pentagon. So it is down, Mark.
Very, very significant developments over the past 5-10 minutes or so. I'm looking at images here, which I hope we can bring to you at some point in the next few minutes, which show the sky and the white dot that is the balloon that we have seen over the past couple of days traveling across the continental United States, and a small plume of smoke hits that white spot, and then it appears to deflate and begin to come down. There is also some vapor trails of what look like either a military aircraft or perhaps a missile in the same area as well. What we do know, as you say, is that President Biden in the past hour or so gave the order to take the balloon down. He pretty much said as much when he was asked by reporters a couple of hours ago what he would do about the balloon, and he said, "We will take care of it." Now, that combined with the fact that a NOTAM order was put out, that's a notice to airmen, anyone flying in the area around Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, and Charleston in the Carolinas, anyone in the air should get out of that particular bit of airspace. We then saw there was only one plane in that airspace, and it was a US Air Force plane. So all of that together brings us to this news that it does appear to have been shot down, or at least taken out in one way or another. So the effort now will be, as we understand, to recover the wreckage. Of course, we know from what the Pentagon has told us over the past 2 days that they were very wary about shooting it down over land, because this is such a large balloon. We understand that the payload itself is the size of 3 buses, so a very, very large thing that they needed to take down. And of course, if it had come down over land, then there would be no guarantee that it wouldn't hit anyone on the land. So a decision has been made when it had moved out off over American land into the sea space, that they would take it down, and it appears that's exactly what they have done. So the effort now will be to recover whatever they can from the sea, and of course that will, from an American perspective, be highly valuable. If the Chinese are right that it was simply a weather balloon that went off course, well, we'll soon find out if that was the case or not. So that appears to be what's happened, and I imagine there is a situation room in the Pentagon behind me where all of that was carried out. Over the course of the past few days, the Pentagon has been giving the White House options over what to do. Their advice was don't shoot it down over land, but clearly that advice has now changed. Politically, for President Biden, there was a dynamic too, because
the president was under a lot of pressure not to let this one pass. Literally, the idea from certainly the right of American politics here that you could just let a Chinese balloon float over America, taking pictures and gathering intelligence of whatever it wanted and not do anything about it was just something that just couldn't happen. So politically, for the president, there was a dynamic that he needed to consider, and it.
Okay. Any other comments on that? Anybody else hear anything about that? You know anything about it? Okay. So we had our Q&A, questions and comments. Anybody got any questions about something they heard this week or this morning on the Shabbat class, or they want to talk about, comment on? Everybody good?
Okay. Yep.
Okay, I got something right here. I'm quite sure people have something to say about this. Okay.
Kind of upset that men are leaving America to find their woman.
No, dear. And I understand the perspective that you're bringing, but no, the American women aren't upset that American men are leaving. American women are upset that American men are taking their resources and finding foreign wives and pedestalizing those foreign wives above these American women who could barely afford to make their rent and their mortgage and their car payments. And on top of that, they are disgusted by the fact that these American men are creating families that can't be ruined by American feminism. And they will have fathers in their homes, mothers in their homes, so they'll have complete families, while their own kids will be going to school without having a complete family at home. And therefore, the father in the home will help provide for that family, and they will have a far more stable home environment than these single mother raised children. So it's actually very, very complicated. Well, when you really think about it, it's simple, but when you have to think about all the variables that go into it, it becomes more complicated. So the reality is they're pissed off because men are getting a better deal. That's what they're pissed off about.
They go to places where women speak a little English, no education whatsoever. However, that's not the reason. The reason why men do that is because the women out there are loving, caring, nourishing.
And that's where I absolutely agree with you. Loving, caring, nourishing. But the problem is, you know what? You use this word feminine. Now, Kevin Samuel suggested that women need to be fit, feminine, and friendly, right? But here's the problem. This feminist disease that's in America, it's as bad as the cordyceps fungus in The Last of Us, the show. Basically, most of these men have become so beaten down that they don't even know what feminine. They don't know what the word feminine means anymore. It's that bad. It's really that bad. They don't even know what that word means anymore. Like they are not 100% certain what a woman is like if she's feminine because they, in many cases, haven't experienced it. They've had their single mama raising them, breathing down their neck, and they think that's feminine, but it's not. And that's the sad thing about it. So, I agree with your perspective. Unfortunately, you don't understand our mentality because you're not from here. Fortunately for you, because if you were from here, you'd be ruined too. And I'm glad that you're not. I'm glad that you're out there somewhere away from the disease.
Okay. Any comments so far?
I don't know about that perspective. I mean, it's kind of convoluted, and he's a very arrogant man. So, and condescending. But I think that my concern is not with the greater population at large; it's more so with our community. And I think that there has been such a systematic effort, and an unrelenting effort to divide our community, our home, our man from our woman, and our woman from our man. That the natural or the sort of probably the wrong word to say, but the bastardization of what family is has occurred over the last 30 or 40 years, because when you take the man out, it's almost and the survival instinct comes into play, but it's not the right order. And so women having this, especially I'm talking about Black women, I don't know about everybody else, but Black women having this desire or to survive, it creates this environment where they become more masculine in the sense of surviving, not necessarily masculine in the way of a man, but having to do the things that they need to do to survive if they don't have a mate. That's not the order it's supposed to be, but that's what has happened because of the efforts that they have put in place to divide us and put the woman over the man.
Exactly. Like I was saying, when you look back on it, Esau is behind all of it because he was a pro at it. And so, and then he throw a rock and then hide his hand and make it look like we came to where we at on our own. But he's been behind the scenes orchestrating all this. Like when we first got here, we had dominant males. Our women, the Israelite women was used to dominant males, so they killed all them off. They, taking horses and tying a rope to each end of their leg and snatch the man in half in front of all the children and everybody. That's why that started from the time we got here to the things they're doing now, shooting them down in the streets in front of the kids. So we ain't getting on our own. Yeah. Anybody else got any comments on that?
Yes, shalom. I just have a small comment to kind of piggyback off of what you and Tasha said, right? And we talked about that this morning, right? It's not that we're standing with the majority. There's only, a few of us. So our Black men, the Hebrew Israelite men, righteous Hebrew Israelite men, they understand what has happened to us from the time we got off of the boat, the whole time through slavery, how they separated us, right? So we as Hebrew Israelites have to get away from that, majority mindset when it comes to the relationship between the man and the woman, because we both understand what has happened to each of us, right? So the thing that this is the point that I'm going to make. They're lumping us all into one basket.
Right.
When the majority of us don't have a clue about their culture, right? So that's the thing that I'm saying. So every time I hear these videos that are being played about the Black women,
right,
it just gets to the point where you really understand where it's coming from, so you don't even pay any attention to it, because a lot of Black men don't understand anything about their culture and who they are. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they lump all the Black women into one basket.
Exactly.
And it's not their fault. It's just what has been done to us. But once once we are awakened, to the fact of who we are, what the majority is saying does not apply to us. That's how I feel.
Okay, yeah, right. So like I was saying, we everything you're saying is correct, and we didn't learn from our oppressors. So we in our communities lump everybody in the same bucket.
Yes.
Same way.
Yes.
We copycats, copying off of them.
Yes.
That's why so many Negroes can't rightly divide the word, because he's too busy trying to divulge what he done heard. He ain't got no, he don't receive no revelations like our forefathers was getting. He too busy. Everything he got, he didn't gather it from the oppressor. Right.
Sir.
Okay. Anybody else got anything on that? I'm gonna play a little more. Okay. So this is Passport Boys. I mean, I don't know if everybody familiar with that. Passport Brothers.
Who are they?
Feminine.
These the Black men that's got education, got means and the money and finances, and they going outside of the United States looking for companions. and wives. They pretty much throw the woman away.
These are black men or
yeah. They call them passport brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the food, like, top notch. So it's like essentially what a man wants. Chinese, I'm from Hong Kong. We do shit on men a lot. We are bossy. However, we do been praising them when they're being an excellent man. Versus, I've seen lots of women in America, they would be like, as he should.
Yes, you see, the thing about it is, yeah, granted, men need some levels of correction sometimes, but what's happening here to men in America, it is indoctrination, it is henpecking. It would be a crime. In fact, like fortunately, in most of the patriarchies in the world, these things would never be allowed to happen. But what's happening to American men is a crime. It's like a crime against humanity itself, and it reminds me of The Dark Knight, where Bane made that comment. He said, "Peace has cost you your strength. Victory has defeated you." And what it is that we civilized America and we made America safe from enemies. And basically, the women got so comfortable that this feminist disease was allowed to grow like a fungus, like the cordyceps fungus in The Last of Us. It was allowed to grow, and now it's spreading and it infects everything it touches. And it's just ruining life in many cases. Well, but there are bright spots because there are some parts of the world where it will never be able to affect. Like I point at most of these Islamic states, and I look at countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Yeah, they won't have much luck with feminism over there. Not at all. And also parts of Asia like China and some parts of the Koreas. There's some places where it just won't be allowed. I mean, even if you do have a matriarchy, feminism won't be allowed to ruin the men. It just won't be allowed because the men are actively working as men, and there is no gender dysphoria. There's no confusion. It's like they know who they are and they know what they are, and they're not allowing any goddamn school to tell them otherwise. They're not allowing any indoctrination to try to tell them otherwise. So thank God for that. Even if America goes down, there are other parts of the world that people can actually still exist in.
You see the difference? Like that's just very ungrateful. Men are really easy to please. Just give him his time and space. Be his peace of mind instead of a headache when he come home.
Yes, be a man's peace of mind instead of a headache. I mean, think about it. The guy's out there and he has to fight with the world and he has to compete with the world. Why would he want to have to come home and compete and fight with his wife? Why would he want that? He wouldn't. That's the whole point.
Respect him, appreciate him, let him lead, trust him, believe in him. I'm very traditional, and maybe some women are not like that and they don't like that, which is fine. Do whatever that works well for you. And what I've been doing has been working very, very well for me. That's why I'm just, sharing a little secret.
No. I'm an independent woman, just like Beyonce said. I'm putting together my money so I can go to the Beyonce concert because Beyonce, she told me that I need to be an independent woman. You know the song, right? I know you're Chinese, but maybe you don't know the song. The song goes, "All the ladies independent, throw your hands up in the air. All the ladies in the state, throw your hands up in the air. Charlie, how your angels get down like that? Tell me how your angels get down like that."
Okay. All right.
Hey, Mr. Leonard, I wanted to say something, Mr. Leonard.
Go ahead.
And I want to say, I'm well traveled. I've been around the world. Okay. And I understand Michelle and Tasha standpoints, and we can't say all. I'm not going to say all. But if you look around to this day, the Black woman is the laughing stock of the world. And this is a fact. I'm not lying. This is the truth. And the men have always, to me, you can unite men for certain structures and stuff, but I see this monkey do, monkey see, monkey do mentality.
Right.
And they say the roosters come home to crow.
Right.
Because I see a lot of these women, they wanted that, like he said Beyonce, but TLC back in the day, no scrubs. We don't want no scrubs. You don't want to help a man build nothing. You want something that's already built.
Right.
And I see that. And when you don't need a man, you independent. Now we watching the children of this generation are killing their girlfriends and killing all these little young male kids, is doing a lot of killing of these women.
Right.
Resentments from they mama not having a daddy in there, no structure.
Right.
That's what bothers me about most of it. But I do understand it's not all, but it's a majority.
Right. Right.
So
And go ahead.
no, go ahead, baby. I'll
No,
comment
I
after you.
was saying that. I was saying that.
I want to go back to the video. First of all, I feel like it was such a characterization of this idea, an extreme idea of what feminism is.
Right.
You intentionally bring a Chinese woman on to commentate with, because they have a, not all, but have a people perceive them as being meek and compliant. So
Right.
he uses that, and she uses the sort of subservient type of mousy voice to try to appease him, and he has this pseudo overly masculine manifestation of what a man is, and beating down the woman. I think that's a characterization. And I think if you bring it back to the spiritual realm, I think that everything that we're seeing, particularly, and I'm more concerned about our community than I am about anybody else, is we have to realize all of this was intentional. The
Right.
black woman being on top was never supposed to be, but it serves a purpose.
Right.
And just like they want to say that all black men only want other women besides us, and they want the woman that has our features but don't have our skin. That's a lie. The statistics, 85% of the of families have a black man and a black woman in it, but what they want to put on TV, what they keep flashing in our faces, is a black man with anybody but us. Just like now
Right.
they're flashing in our faces anybody, a black woman can't be successful or have anything unless she have a white boy with her. I
Right.
mean, that's an
Exactly.
intentional
Right.
concept that they put out there. We have been fighting and struggling for each other ever since we've been here. But the
Right.
forces for that have been coming up against us has broken a lot of us. But
Right.
for I'm looking at my generation, Generation X. I grew up, I would say, seeing a lot of broken homes where there's a lot of children growing up with mothers, the father's not there. But what I was encouraged by when I'm seeing my friends and their children growing up, even though they may not be with the mothers, I see more of an intention to still try to be in that child's life.
Right.
And I
Right.
mean, and that's because of what they have gone through. I
Right.
don't, I mean, when somebody's constantly, they want to put a Beyonce out there, they want to put a Cardi B out there, they want to put a Nicki Minaj. Look what happened to the 90s when we had MC Light or Queen Latifah. I mean, they had their down points, but they wasn't putting their whole body out there and talking about sex and all that kind of stuff. They quieted that down because they wanted us to see a certain image of who they said we were, and so
Right.
they put that out there. I don't
Mhm.
believe that. When somebody wants to keep putting something in your face, you have to look the other way because it's a reason why they keep putting it out there.
Right. Right. This is subliminal. They've been doing that for forever and a day. And like I said, who owned Hollywood? Esau. He's the one behind it. Yeah. Any more comments?
They still doing it to us. I'm gonna leave it at that. They still doing it to us.
Right. It ain't gonna stop.
And
Right.
that's why we need a platonic family. We got to
Right.
have the brothers and the women's getting back together, and we have to teach our generation. You know,
Right.
that's the problem. They so stuck on child support, divorces. It's all about money. It's not
Right.
about family anymore. It's about being a bad chick, or these guys want to run around here with skinny jeans and doing all
Right.
this stuff. It's outrageous, and we have
Right.
to get back to the fundamentals.
I agree with that. And I think as a one of the things I do for a living is I'm a counselor and I counsel mostly us. And I'm always encouraged when I see, we call them blended families, when somebody may break up but they want to remarry. He got kids, she got kids. I'm always encouraging them, the adults, to get together and say, this is what we're going to do for the kids, not my kids, not your kids, but these are our kids. Whether the girl brings somebody, her child, or not, that whatever children are in there, these are our kids, and we had to show them how to be together or they won't be able to do it. And like I said,
Right.
I see that, and I think that there is an effort, but that's not what you're going to see on TV. They're not going to promote that, but it's actually happening.
Oh, yeah, right. Exactly. Like I said, they put billions of dollars in there to get you a certain place. And like I said, I always remember, nobody really was, I don't think they was there or focusing in on it, but Whitney Houston, when that Bodyguard came out, back before that, our generation, black women wasn't really, they weren't feeling no white boys. And then they played that song so much, it was some kind of MK Ultra they was doing. But you look up, they played that song for about 2 years. Every time the radio came on, they playing I Always Love You. Whitney Houston singing to Kevin Costner. Yeah. Then after that, the floodgates open. Ain't there something? Yeah. So everybody good on that?
Yes, I just want to make a comment on what you said, Tasha. For me growing up, my mom and dad was not together. My mom had me at a young age. And when she married my stepdad, I was in the second grade. And everything that I was involved in or whatever, my stepdad and my dad was there. I never seen where they didn't get along or whatever when we went to family reunions or whatever. My grandmother always invited my stepdad. When my dad got married, my stepmom was involved. My dad has passed away now, and I still keep in touch with my stepmom. She checks on us, you know. So I didn't see a lot of that growing up, but I was not subject to anything any different. That is what I knew. My mom and dad got along, my stepmom and my mom got along. They called each other, laughed and talked, but you don't see a lot of that today.
Right.
But
But that's by intention, though.
Right.
That's
right,
an intention. But that's the community. When the community used to come together and raise the children, it didn't
yes,
matter who mother,
mm-hmm.
uh who your mother was. It was the
Right,
mothers in the community or the fathers.
mm-hmm.
And I think that while the gentleman that spoke earlier, it is fractured, but it isn't fractured beyond repair. And as
Right,
long as there are us that have like minds and we teach somebody, it will come back together. We may not see it in our lifetime the way it used to
right.
be, but I have faith that it will come back together because I
Mm-hmm.
believe in the one who watches over me.
Yes, I do too. That's the reason why when those videos are about, it's like in one ear and out of the other. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think we're going to see it in our lifetime. I
Right.
truly think we will because we have no choice. We're going to have to
Right.
band together.
Right. It ain't gonna be here.
No, it's
Definitely
not.
not here.
Right. This is Sesame proof. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else got anything on that? Okay, I'm gonna read Jasher chapter 89, and then we'll break it down before I'll close out. I'm in Joshua chapter 8 and 9. It says, Then spoke Joshua this song on the day that the Lord had given the Amorites into the hands of Joshua and the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of all Israel, thou hast done mighty things, O Lord. Thou hast performed great deeds. Who is like unto thee? My lips shall sing to thy name, my goodness and my fortress, my high tower. I will sing a new song unto thee, and with thanksgiving will I sing to thee. Thou art the strength of my salvation. All the kings of the earth shall praise thee. The princes of the world shall sing to thee. The children of Israel shall rejoice in thy salvation. They shall sing and praise thy power. To thee, O Lord, did we confide. We said, Thou art our God. For thou was our shelter and a strong tower against our enemies. To thee we cried and were not ashamed. In thee we trusted and were delivered. When we cried unto thee, thou didst hear our voice. Thou didst deliver our souls from the sword. Thou didst show us thy grace. Thou didst give unto us thy salvation. Thou didst rejoice our hearts with thy strength. So I'm gonna read that verse again because this is what I keep on screaming. We've been doing that last 400 years and we ain't got no results. So how in the hell is Yahweh Shai and JC our God? Because right here, our God, it tells us right here, this is a confirmation. To thee we cried and was not ashamed. In thee we trusted and was delivered. We've been crying for deliverance since we've been here to Jesus Christ, right? So it says, and when we cried unto thee, thou didst hear our voice, right? We ain't getting no response. Thou didst deliver our souls from the sword. Thou didst show unto us thy grace. Thou didst give unto us thy salvation, right? Thou didst rejoice our hearts with thy strength. Thou didst go forth for our salvation, and with thine arm thou didst redeem thy people. Thou didst answer us from the heavens of thy holiness. Thou didst save us from tens of thousands of people. The sun and the moon stood still in heaven, and thou didst stand in thy wrath against our oppressors, and didst command the judges over them. All the princes of the earth stood up. The kings of the nations had to gather themselves together. They were not moved at thy presence. They desired thy battles. Thou didst rise against them in thine anger, and didst bring down thine wrath upon them, and thou didst destroy them in thine anger, and cut them off in thy heart. Nations have been consumed with thy fury. Kingdoms have declined because of thy wrath. Thou didst wound kings in the day of thine anger. Thou didst pour out the fury upon them. Thy wrathful anger took hold of them. Thou didst turn their iniquity upon them. Thou didst cut them off in their wickedness. They did spread a trap. They fell therein. In the net they hid. Their foots were caught. Thine hand was ready for all thine enemies who said, through their sword they possessed the land, and through their arm they dwelt in the city. Thou didst fill their faces with shame. Thou didst bring their horn down to the ground. Thou didst terrify them in thy wrath, and didst destroy them in thine anger. The earth trembled and shook at the sound of thy storm over them, and thou didst not withhold their souls from death, and didst bring down their lives to the grave. Thou didst pursue them in thy storm. Thou didst consume them in the whirlwind. Thou didst turn their rain into hell. They fell in the deep pits so that they could not rise. Their carcasses were like rubbish cast out into the middle of the streets. They were consumed and destroyed in thy anger. Thou didst save thy people with thy might. Therefore our hearts rejoice in thee. Our souls exalt in thy salvation. Our tongue shall relate thy might. We will sing and praise thy wonderful work. For thou didst save us from our enemies. Thou didst deliver us from those who rose up against us. thou didst destroy them from before us and depress them beneath our feet. Thus shall all mine enemies perish, O Lord, and the wicked shall be like chaff driven by the wind, and thy beloved shall be like trees planted by the waters. So Joshua and all Israel with him returned to the camp of Gilgal, after having smitten all the kings, so that not a remnant was left of them. And the and the kings fled along 1 foot from the battle and hid themselves in the cave. And Joshua sought for them in the field of battle and did not find them. And it was afterwards told Joshua, saying, the kings are found, and behold, they are hidden in the cave. And Joshua said, appoint men to be at the mouth of the cave to guard them, unless they take themselves away. And the children of Israel did so. And Joshua called to all Israel and said to the officers of battle, place your feet upon the necks of these kings. And Joshua said, so shall the Lord do to all your enemies. And Joshua commanded afterwards that they should slay kings and cast them into the cave, and to put great stones at the mouth of the cave. And Joshua went afterwards with all his people that were with him on the day of Melchizedek, and he smote the edge of the sword, and he utterly destroyed the souls of all belonging to the city, and he did to the kings and the people thereof as he had done to Jericho. And he passed from there to Litna, and he fought against it, and the Lord delivered it into his hands. And Joshua smote it with the edge of the sword, and all the souls thereof, and he did to it and to the kings thereof as he had done to Jericho. And from there he passed to Lanchish to fight against it. And Horam, king of Gaza, went up to assist the men at Lanchish, and Joshua smote him and his people until there were none left of him. And Joshua took Lanchish and all the people thereof, and he did to it as he had done to Litna. And Joshua passed from there to Eglon, and he took it also, and he smote it and all the people thereof with the edge of the sword. And from there he passed to Hebron and fought against it, took it, and utterly destroyed it. And he returned from there with all Israel to Debris and fought against it and smote it with the edge of the sword. Okay. Says, and he destroyed every soul in it, and he left none remaining. And he did to it as the king thereof he had done to Jericho. And Joshua smote all the kings of the Amorites from Kadesh, Borna to Azza, and he took their country at once, for the Lord had fought for Israel. And Joshua with all Israel came to the camp of Gilead, when at the time Jabin, king of Chazar, heard all that Joshua had done to the kings of the Amorites. Jabin sent to Jabat, king of Midian, and to Laban, king of Shiran, and Jephthah, king of Ashkoff, and to all the kings of the Amorites, saying, come quickly to us and help us that we might smite the children of Israel before they come upon us, and do unto us as they had done to the other kings of the Amorites. And all these kings hearkened to the words of Jabin, king of Chazar, and they went forth with all account, 17 kings, and their people were all numerous as the sands of the seashore, together with horses and chariots, and chariots innumerable. And they came and pitched together at the waters of Meron, and they were met together to fight against Israel. And the Lord said to Joshua, fear them not, for tomorrow about this time I will deliver them up, all slain before you, and thou shalt hew their horses and burn their chariots with fire. And Joshua with all the men of war came suddenly upon them, smote them, and they fell into their hands. And the Lord had delivered them into the hands of the children of Israel. So the children of Israel pursued all these kings with their camps, and smote them until there was none left of them. And Joshua did to them as the Lord had spoken to him. And Joshua returned at that time to Chazar and smote it with the sword, and destroyed every soul in it, and burned it with fire. And from Joshua passed to Shimron and smote it and utterly destroyed it. From there he passed to Ashkenaz. Okay, I just read this. Ashloff, and he did it to it as he had done to Shimron, and from there he passed to Adullam, and he smote all the people in it, and he did to Adullam as he had done to Ashloff and Shimron, and he passed from them to all the cities of the kings which he had smitten, and he smote all the people that were left of them and utterly destroyed them. Only their booty and the cattle the Israelites took to themselves as prey, but every human being they smote. They suffered not a soul to live. And the Lord had commanded Moses, so did Joshua and all Israel. They fell not in anything. So Joshua and all the children of Israel smote the whole land of Canaan as the Lord had commanded them, and smote all the kings, being 31 kings, and the children of Israel took their whole country, besides the kingdom of Shion and Og, which are on the other side of Jordan, of which Moses had smitten many cities. And Moses gave them to the Reubenites and to the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh. And Joshua smote all the kings that were on this side of Jordan to the west, and he gave them into to an inheritance to the 9 tribes and a half of Israel. For 5 years did Joshua carry on war with these kings, and he gave their cities to the Israelites, and the land became tranquil from battle throughout the cities of the Amorites and the Canaanites. Okay, so that was chapter 89 of Joshua. Anybody got any comments on that and what they heard? You know, light bulb go off. Okay, anybody got anything? Yeah. So, like I was saying before, dealing with this for as long as I have, I learned that all you gotta do is, like I said, you can't do this with JC, but all you have to do is once you get the revelation of the Lord of hosts here, then he wants you to try it. So, like I was saying with the 400-year thing, you know, I'm probably, they probably think I'm bonkers because I ain't going for the 400-year thing. So he go the answer right here. This is a dagger. Let's look at it. Let me go read that 400-year prophecy again, which is you can't get out of it. So I'm in oh Lord, let me get my Bible. Keep on grabbing that Bible. So I'm in Genesis chapter 15. So I ain't got a phone with it no more. So I'm gonna read it. So this the prophecy, the so-called 400-year prophecy, right? See, and he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee up. Let me go to 9. And he said unto him, take me a heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each, this Abraham, making a sacrifice to the Lord. He doing this because he want to know what's going to befall his descendants. Okay, and he divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcass, Abraham drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. Right? So they trying to say this horror is transatlantic slave trade, all the stuff that happened over here, right? So he says, and he said unto Abraham, know for a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. They're saying that happened over here, right? And I'm saying negative. I'm saying it happened in Egypt, right? So 14. And also that nation whom ye shall serve will I judge, and afterwards they shall come out with great substance. So when you look at Egypt, they went there. That's just what Abraham saw. They went there and they got afflicted. And then when they came out, they spoiled the Egyptians. They came out of there with great substance. But here go the dagger, 15. And thou shalt go to thy fathers, and thou shalt go to Abraham, and Abraham shall go to his fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in a good old age. Then here go the dagger. 16. But in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again, back to the land, they in the land of Canaan. They'll come back here again to the land of Canaan, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. We just read it. We just read the end of the prophecy right here. Look at it. Verse 1. Here you go right here. Let's go back to Joshua. You can go back and let this ferment, but let's look at it. So 89. Let me get it. So the very first verse. Then spoke Joshua this song on the day that the Lord had given the Amorites. See that? When Moses was there, the iniquity of the Amorites wasn't full. Joshua ended it. Said, then spoke Joshua this song on the day that the Lord had given the Amorites into the hands of Joshua and the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of all Israel, thou hast done mighty things, O Lord, and thou hast performed thy great deeds. Who is like unto thee? My lips shall sing a song unto thee. So he got rid of all these kings, these Amorite kings. So Joshua got rid of all of them. Let me read some more verses on that once the light shined on it. So all these cities that you just seen me reading, 39. When at that time, Jabin, king of Chazar, heard all that Joshua had done to the kings of the Amorites. See that? Jabin sent to Jabin, king of Midian, and to Laban, king of Shinar, and all these Amorites, and all the kings of the Amorites, saying, then you get down here and they tell you, Joshua destroyed all the Amorites. The iniquity, Joshua brought the iniquity of the Amorites to an end. That's right there in so-called prophecy that Abraham had. They went into Egypt, came out with great substance, and then destroyed the Amorites. They brought the iniquity of the Amorites to an end. Okay? Can't get out of it. Okay? Any comment before we go?
So what is the prophecy about us being here? Because I thought there is something, I can't remember where it is, where it talks about us being taken away on ships.
It's in the prophecy about us is in Hosea. You go to Hosea chapter 6.
And it doesn't say how long we're going to be here.
Yeah, you in Hosea?
Yeah.
Let me get it. Okay, chapter 6. So it says, chapter 6, come, let us return unto the Lord, for he hath torn. Notice same thing in Isaiah 53. Come, let us return unto the Lord, for he hath torn. He will heal us. He hath smitten. He can cast us off. He will bind us up. After 2 days, he will revive us. In the third day, he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. So what's the day with the Lord?
1,000.
So 2 days, he's gonna raise us up. How long is that?
2,000 years.
When so-called JC got killed.
2,000 years.
Yeah, there it is. So what day we in? We in the third day. We're being raised up. There it is.
That's Hosea chapter 6.
Chapter 6 is 1, 2, and 3. But also remember that Israel, you go to Hosea chapter 11. You in chapter 11?
Hosea chapter 11.
Same book.
Yeah.
When Israel was a child, then I loved him. This is the Lord talking. When Israel was a child, I loved him, called my son out of Egypt. So Israel is the son, right? So go back to Hosea chapter 6. You there?
Yeah.
How long did JC supposed to stay in the earth?
2,000 years?
No. What the sign was. All the prophets had a sign. His sign was he was going to be in the earth 3 days and 3 nights.
Oh, yeah. And then rise up.
How many days is this in chapter 6? The Israel's 3 days. See that? That's where they're getting it from. They come Israel the son. They went from the New Testament and made JC the son and put all these same characteristics. Prophecy that's on us, they put it on him. They made a man gonna be in the
Rose up in 3 days. Yeah.
Yeah, but here you go. We see Israel. Let me read it again. Come, let us return unto the Lord, for he have torn, he will heal us. He have smitten. See, we were smitten. They got JC being smitten, right? And he will bind us up. After 2 days, will he revive us in the 3rd day? Didn't JC rise on 3rd day?
That's what they say.
Yeah, that's where they get it from. They took from over here, like I said, typology. They took it from over here and put it on him when the whole time we the son. Like D-Ray was saying the other day, he told us to he told Pharaoh let his son go. His son is the nation of Israel. Yeah. So anybody else got a comment before we leave or depart?
Yeah, Israel was his firstborn.
Exactly. That's what it say that all through scripture, but like I say, it ain't registering. It ain't registering with the average person because they so bent out of shape on trying to please their oppressor till they can't rightly divide the scriptures. Ain't that something? So everybody good?
I'm good, Mr. Leonard. Good class.
Okay, yeah. So we had another good spot. All right. So I enjoy these morning and evening classes. So all right, I'm gonna see everybody Tuesday night. I think Mike got something tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And let me get this. So I think it's at 2
Shalom,
o'clock.
everybody.
Yeah, shalom. I see everybody on